Hi, I'm Tom Stephenson, and welcome Construction Graduates 2025. I'm a professor of construction management, and I can't believe another year has gone by. Students are graduating in the next week or two. Some of my students are finished now. My University of Toronto students finished a couple of weeks ago. And I just thought that it would be nice to do a little bit of a sort of recap, sort of thoughts for the future, reflection video for graduates. I know at this time of year, there's this sort of sigh of relief, but at the same time, there's a little bit of anxiety for what's ahead. Some of you will be starting new jobs. Some of you have taken a couple of months to sort of take a break, deservedly so. And it's a good time, I think, to reflect a little bit. So there's a few thoughts and things I just wanted to run through and give you something to think about. Probably helps me to think about things too as I run through this as well. It's for everybody in a lot of ways. But let's just unpack it a little bit. And so there's this aspect that you probably heard, follow your passion, and I think Steve Jobs did an excellent commencement speech probably almost 2 decades ago now. But I also think that passion finds you. Like I was always of that kind of aspect, follow your passion. The problem is that's an easy thing to say. It's not an easy thing to do because you don't really know what your passion is. Most people, there's exceptions to that, but most people. And so what does it mean, passion finds you? It means you got to try things because sometimes you're not that great at things when you start out. I've got grandkids now and, one's learning hockey and this and that. And it takes a little bit of time. They catch on very quickly, but you have to work through some of the struggles and get past those early struggles to get better at something. And, I know from my kids, it was that. I know from myself personally, it's that, right? Like it takes a while to get better at things and you have to persevere with it. So at a certain point though, things may start to click. And if they start to click, you feel some sense of accomplishment. And then it's like, I'm not bad at this. I'm actually pretty good at this. And then it's kind of like, it starts to catch you. And that's where, the passion is finding you. Right? Because now it's like you're enjoying going to work. It's actually cool. You enjoy being able to figure out problems. You notice that you're actually figuring out a lot of things better than others are. And then it grows, right? So that's where passion finds you where you didn't originally think. And so for a lot of you, though, you think you've got a passion for something now and you start in it and maybe it's meh, it's not all that much. But construction is a big field. So maybe some of you start out in estimating, it's like, meh. After a while, you've given it a good shot. Well, then you can look at other aspects of construction and you can try those things. And then maybe one of those other aspects will grab you. Maybe it's site management, maybe it's project management, because maybe you need a little bit more relational, or vice versa. Maybe you need a little less relational. But it will find you if you take to it and you keep going at it for a bit. And so I'm not saying you stick at something for the rest of your life, because that's the thing. Some people, they go into a tract and then they just stay there. And then the time goes by and it's sort of like they don't want to leave it. And then it's like you're not happy, right? So you want to satisfy those intrinsic needs. From that perspective. Now, one of the things I do know for many of you, you've gotten better at learning how to learn. They don't teach you that enough in school. I try to impart it as much as I can with my students. I interweave it with things. But definitely, if you've been successful and you've graduated, you have picked up some skills on learning to learn. Thing is, the world is changing ever faster. 25 years ago, it was changing as fast as it ever had. Now it's changing even faster, right? So as we progress, things are changing. AI on the horizon that, you can see how it can be starting to be utilized. I utilize it. I'm learning it. You have to learn faster. So work on those skills, those meta learning skills that you can take things, analyze it, break it down, and figure out a learning pattern that works for you and keep up. And if you do that, you'll be in the top 20% of your field without even trying that hard. But you've got to put that effort to try to learn and make sure that you're not letting yourself, I graduated, I don't have to worry anymore. That's enough of that. That's not the way the world works anymore. And so if I can impart anything today, it's that aspect of making that your superpower. That's really going to help you because most don't bother with it. And it's a superpower, learning how to focus, learning how to learn more expeditiously because there's so much things that are changing. Now there's more tools than ever to help you. So part of that could be the use of AI and integrating that into your learning processes. Full benefit. This is a more recent term that I came across, and basically it's a Navy SEAL concept for owning your role. Full benefit means you're going to mess up, you're going to screw up, and when you do, full benefit is like, what did I learn from this? I'm not happy about this, but you know what? I'm going to reframe it. And what did I learn about this? What am I better at now? Right? Charlie Munger, Warren Buffett's partner, always said, tell me where I'm going to die so I don't go there, right? That's like, I figure out where there's a problem, I just messed up, I'm going to figure out how I don't go there again so I don't get myself stuck in this particular area. Today, there's a lot of stuff going on in my home country, Canada, with regards to the education system's kind of like in turmoil. Construction is kind of like in flux right now, more so than I've seen it in the last 25 years or so. So there's concerns. There's a lot of global tariff, all these other things that are coming at us, right? And so really, and a lot of people are saying this is unprecedented. It never happened before. I'm looking at it, and it's definitely happened before in all those sectors. What did we learn? What did we learn before? What did I learn before? I've learned a lot of things before. So there's a lot of things that it's not affecting me as much as it's affecting others because of certain steps that I did along the way. Would I get caught with something again? Absolutely. Will I get caught with something tomorrow? Absolutely. Well, then I've got to try to use that tool, full benefit, to look at it and learn from it so I don't go there again. It's a never-ending process. It's a never-ending way of thinking about things, but I think it's a good way. Resilience. As I said, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to get knocked down. Well, then the next thing is, how do I get back up? How do I pick myself up, dust myself off, and get back to it? How do I do that, right? And those that figure out tools, methods, reframing, ways to do that, and they do it over and over and over again, that's resilience. And over the long game, there's a short game and the long game. Over the long game, the infinite game, they are the most successful because when they get knocked off their feet, they get back up. They get back on the horse, so to speak. So definitely think about that because you know what? You're just starting out in your career. You're going to make a lot of mistakes. It's okay. As long as you're working at learning from them so you don't keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And you got to pace yourself. You got to be a little not so hard on yourself. You got to say to yourself, I'm not going to burn myself out. How do I not do that? How do I take care of my health? How do I take care of my family? Putting time aside for that and making sure that you cover those things off. Those are very important things. Very important things. And rushing around, you're more apt to make mistakes. And so learning ahead of time, part of the meta learning, right, is take a breath, figure out, navigate yourself. If you have to iterate, you iterate, but you're doing it in a methodical way. And I don't mean a lazy way. I mean a methodical way. There's that aspect that the turtle beats the rabbit, right? And it's true in a lot of things, not just construction. But you know what? Construction especially, right? Like going too fast and then making mistakes, you got a lot of rework. It's a lot of cost. It's not a good thing. So slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Set yourself up for success. I don't have to tell you. You're watching this video. You stayed this long. I know. You are in that framework if you've stayed this long. So good for you. Job versus career versus calling. I always talk about this one. I usually at the end of the semester, I talk about this. Sometimes at the beginning of a first semester with new students, I talk about this. You're not going to be so happy if you just look at everything like it's just a job. You'll be happier, I think, if you look at it as a career, meaning that, well, I want to do this, I want to master this skill, and then the next progression is here, and so then I'm going to work on that, and so I can see a series of progressions. That's going to be, I think, more satisfying for you than just it's the job. But I think at the highest level, it's a calling. So, and I say that in the construction industry, it is like those that are at the top of their game, it is a calling. It really is. Like, I can't think of another profession really that really has such a positive end game to it. Because at the end of the day, I've been watching a lot of Marvel stuff. What can I say? End game to it. At the end of the day, you're building out society. You're basically, a job is I'm laying these pieces of stone for this cathedral or for this hospital, right? That's a job. Career is basically, well, I work for this company and I do this and I identify with this career that I have built for myself, right? And a calling is like what I'm doing is this wonderful thing. It is helping and benefiting others. And when you help and benefit others, that gives you the highest level of intrinsic satisfaction coming from the inside. And you know what? When you've got that highest level of intrinsic satisfaction and you have that passion side, that basically that passion has found you and you've got that intrinsic value, then that is where you're going to be in flow. That is where you're going to enjoy your work. That is where, even though that's not your only driver is to make more money, it just comes. It just comes. And so that you got to have something that really drives you intrinsically. And you'll find from great founders, like, at a certain point, like how many billions of dollars can they deal with, but yet why are they still doing it? Well, they found their calling, that they find it intrinsically satisfying. Or, somebody like Bill Gates or Andrew Carnegie or Rockefeller, they get into, after they've built these things, they get into philanthropy and other things that they want to try to have that calling aspect. They want to serve a higher purpose. So I feel like construction definitely can get you to that, following certain streams in your career path. It doesn't start off with that. It takes times. It takes years, sometimes decades, to start moving into that. You may start out just thinking this is like an entry-level job. You may start looking, I can see the pathway with a career. And then when you start to get really mastery in those areas, then you start to think of it like a calling. And then it really takes on a life of its own. So I really think that. Now, not everybody gets to that stage. This is like the highest level of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and even later in life, his transcendence aspect. But at least into this area, I think you're just going through motions. And if you got to spend a third of your life, at this work, I don't want to just think of it as a job, right? So something to think about early in your career, right? And you're more than your title. Your impact goes deeper. It's interesting. Like the last 10 years or so, the final projects for the graduating class, I always go through it with them in person. So I always go through it with them in person, the final sort of capstone project that they're doing for me. But you know what? It's more about me just sitting down with them and having these kind of one-on-ones and getting to know them a little bit better and what makes them tick, and try to interweave some little ideas that may work for them, that may give them some idea of what they would want to do, or tweak some thought on it so they can work that out for themselves. And for me, calling wise, that's one of the most satisfying parts of my job, is this I keep wondering, why do I enjoy the winter semester so much? And it's because of that, right? Because I really, towards the end, just sitting down with the different groups and going through it. And they're always nervous, oh, he's going to be hard on the marks or this or that. And then they start to see it's not about the mark. One, I want to make sure you really get this, whatever we've been doing, so that when you get out there, you use it well, right? Because I want you to be successful. And two, it's this other aspect of getting to know people on a better level. And I think when you're in your jobs and you try to get to know the people that you work with on a better level, on a deeper level, then it goes beyond whatever your title is. It's another intrinsic way of satisfying yourself. All right. And lastly, I just want to say the construction industry, we need people. We need good people. And you being a graduate, like, you've done a lot of work and we need you, and so does society. So tie that in with some of the thoughts that I've said. Think about it going forward just a little bit. Like, this isn't all that you got to figure things out today and now, but just tweaking a few thoughts, and over the next period of time, getting feedback and adjusting things. And there will be moments where you want to revisit some of these kinds of thoughts. So give it some thought, do a little bit of planning, and remember, resilience. You might get on with the wrong employer. That doesn't mean the whole industry's like that. That just means you didn't connect with that particular employer. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back to it. And I really wish you all the best. It's been a pleasure for all the students I've had over this semester, and again, all the viewers too on the channel. So I wish everybody the best, and until I have to do this again next year, we'll get back at it. I'm Tom Stephenson, wishing you a wonderful day, career, life, and we'll see you soon. And don't forget to comment and click the subscribe if you enjoyed this video. Bye for now.